The massive alien ship appeared suddenly, emerging from what looked like a tear in space itself. Its smooth silver surface reflected Earth's sunlight as it approached the International Space Station. Inside the station, Captain Tom Parker watched through the observation window, his heart beating steadily despite the historic moment unfolding before him. "They're here," he said simply into his communicator. Around him, the international crew of the space station moved with practiced efficiency, checking systems and preparing for humanity's first official contact with alien life. The alien vessel was beautiful in its own way, all curved lines and flowing shapes, nothing like the practical, angular human spacecraft. As it drew closer, Tom could see it was easily 3 times the size of the space station. The first message came through their systems in perfect English. "Greetings, Earth Station. This is the Galactic Federation research vessel Morning Light. We come in peace and request permission to dock." What the aliens didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. Every crew member on the station had trained for first contact scenarios. Tom straightened his blue uniform and took a deep breath. "Morning Light, this is ISS Captain Tom Parker. Permission granted. Welcome to Earth space." The docking procedure went smoothly. Too smoothly, Tom thought. These aliens had clearly done this many times before. When the airlock cycled, Tom and his team stood ready to meet their visitors. The alien delegation that emerged wasn't what anyone expected. They were tall, graceful beings with large, side-set eyes and delicate limbs. Their leader, who introduced himself as Ambassador Blue, looked more like an evolved deer than anything else. His movements were careful and precise, and his large eyes constantly scanned the station's corridor. "We are honored to meet you," Ambassador Blue said, his translator device converting his musical sounds into English. "We have been observing your world for some time, learning your languages and customs before making contact." But something was wrong. Tom could see it in the way the aliens moved, the way they watched the humans. There was tension in their bodies, a nervousness that seemed out of place for an advanced spacefaring species. The real trouble started during the medical scans. It was standard procedure. Both sides had agreed to basic health screenings. Dr. Anna from the human team was working with the alien medical officer when she noticed their reaction to her data. "Impossible," the alien doctor whispered, running the scan again. "Your heart rate, your muscle density, and your eyes." "Is there a problem?" Tom asked, stepping forward. The entire alien delegation took a small step back. "Your species," Ambassador Blue said carefully. "You have forward-facing eyes." "Yes," Tom replied, not understanding the concern. "Most humans do." "Forward-facing eyes," the ambassador continued, "are a mark of a predator species. But surely you must be an exception. Your civilization is too advanced." That's when Dr. Anna pulled up the human dietary requirements on the screen. The aliens' reaction to seeing that humans were omnivores was immediate and dramatic. Their skin, which had been a peaceful blue shade, paled considerably. "You eat other creatures?" one of the junior aliens asked, their translator barely picking up the shaking words. "We eat both plants and animals," Tom explained calmly. "Our bodies are designed to process both." The alien delegation huddled together, speaking quickly in their own language. Tom could see them looking at the humans' hands, specifically at how they could make fists. They studied the humans' teeth during conversations, noted their endurance as they moved around the station, and grew increasingly agitated when they saw training videos of humans running. By the end of the first day, the truth was clear. The Galactic Federation had never encountered a predator species that had achieved spaceflight. Every other spacefaring race they had met had evolved from herbivorous herd animals. Humans, with their forward-facing eyes, omnivorous diet, and endurance-based hunting abilities, were something entirely new. As the aliens prepared to return to their ship, Ambassador Blue made a final observation. "We came expecting to find another peaceful grazing species reaching for the stars. Instead, we found something else entirely. The Federation will need to adjust its protocols. Tom watched them leave, finally understanding their fear. To them, humans weren't just another intelligent species. They were evolution's perfect hunters who had chosen to build rather than destroy. Dr. Green had studied over 50 intelligent species across the galaxy, but humans made him nervous. Standing in New York's Central Park, he watched a group of children playing a game they called tag. His assistant, Ray, recorded everything with their advanced scanning equipment. "Notice how the young ones practice pursuit and evasion." Green spoke into his recorder. "Even their recreational activities mirror hunting behaviors." His large, deer-like eyes followed the children as they darted between trees, showing surprising stamina for their size. The Galactic Federation had sent their best xenobiologists to Earth for a reason. After the shocking first contact report from Ambassador Blue, they needed to understand these strange predator beings better. Green had spent the last month observing humans in their natural habitat, and everything he saw disturbed him. Right now, he was watching a human female jog past him for the third time. According to his instruments, she had been running for over an hour, her body covered in sweat, but showing no signs of stopping. None of the known spacefaring species could maintain such prolonged physical activity. "Subject continues endurance running," he noted. "Temperature regulation through sweat glands allows extended periods of pursuit. Remarkable adaptation for a predator species." His observations were interrupted by a loud cheer from a nearby field. A group of humans were playing something called football. Green watched in horror as they deliberately collided with each other, got up, and did it again. Their pain tolerance was unlike anything he had seen before. Later that day, Green and Ray visited a human grocery store. The variety of foods available shocked them. Plants and animals, all in one place. But what truly terrified Green was the meat section. "They don't just eat meat," he whispered to Ray. "They have preferences for different kinds. They've turned predation into an art form." The next part of their research took them to a human gym. Green watched as humans voluntarily pushed their bodies to their limits, lifting heavy weights and running on machines that went nowhere. It made no sense to his herbivorous mind. Why would any species deliberately stress their bodies this way? "It appears they maintain their predatory physical capabilities, even though they no longer need to hunt," he recorded. "This suggests a deep-rooted cultural memory of their hunting past." The most troubling discovery came when they studied human eyes. Not only were they forward-facing for better depth perception during hunting, but humans could also track moving objects instinctively. Green tested this by dropping a cup in front of several humans. Every single one of them tracked its fall, and most tried to catch it. "Their reaction times are extraordinary," Ray noted, reviewing the data, "and their hand-eye coordination suggests they evolved to intercept moving prey." As evening fell, Green compiled his daily notes in their hidden observation post. The list of concerning human traits kept growing. They could repair injuries that would kill most species. Their pattern recognition abilities were off the charts. They could throw objects with deadly accuracy. Their social structures were built for pack hunting. They could eat almost anything and survive. But what truly worried Green was how humans combined all these traits with their intelligence. During their research, they had observed humans using tools to overcome every natural limitation. Too slow, they built machines. Too weak, they invented tools. Too soft, they created armor. Final notes for today. Green spoke wearily into his recorder. Humans are not just predators. They are persistence predators. They don't need to be faster than their prey. They simply need to outlast it. This combination of intelligence, tool use, and predatory instincts makes them unique among all known spacefaring races. He paused, looking at the city lights spreading out before him. Personal observation. We may have made a mistake in contacting them so soon. These beings are still far too close to their predatory origins. The fact that they choose peace is remarkable, but their capacity for hunting remains intact. Further study is required, but with extreme caution. Ray looked up from his instruments. Should we inform the Federation? Yes, Green replied, his ears twitching nervously. And tell them to bring more researchers. We need to understand these humans better before we invite them into the wider galaxy. They may look civilized, but inside every human is an apex predator waiting to emerge. Professor White stood before the Galactic Federation Council, her deer-like form trembling slightly as she prepared to present her findings. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from 50 peaceful species, all waiting to hear about these strange humans. Honored council members, she began, her translator converting her musical tones into standard galactic speech. What I'm about to share will disturb you. Our research team has uncovered alarming patterns in human behavior that we must address. The massive display behind her lit up with images of human activities. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats as they watched. First, humans don't just track one threat at a time, White explained, showing footage of a human crossing a busy street while talking on a phone and drinking water. They can process multiple danger levels simultaneously. Their brains evolved to watch for both predators and prey at the same time. A murmur of unease spread through the chamber. Such mental capabilities were unheard of among herbivorous species. More concerning is their pain response, White continued, displaying medical data. Humans can function even when seriously injured. We observed a human runner complete something called a marathon, despite bleeding from their feet. They simply ignored the pain. The council leader, a tall, graceful being named Elder Gray, leaned forward. Surely this is an exception. No, Elder, White replied. This is common. Humans regularly push through pain for something they call sports or exercise. But that's not the most alarming part. She changed the display to show human tool use. Humans don't accept their physical limitations. When they're too weak, they build machines. When they're too slow, they create vehicles. When they can't fly, they construct aircraft. The images shifted to show human medical facilities. They even refuse to accept death itself. Their doctors can restart stopped hearts, replace failed organs, and reattach severed limbs. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. One council member stood up, their feathered crest rising in agitation. Are you suggesting they're a threat to the Federation? White paused, choosing her words carefully. Humans are not inherently hostile. In fact, they show remarkable restraint given their capabilities. But we must understand what they are. Apex predators who learn to build spaceships. The display showed a final set of images. Humans helping others, treating injured animals, and protecting weaker species. This is what makes humans truly unique, White explained. They have all the tools of an apex predator, but they choose to use them for protection rather than hunting. They're predators who decided to be guardians. More data scrolled across the screen. Human medical advances, their space program, their efforts to preserve endangered species. However, White continued, we must never forget what they're capable of. Their bodies are built for hunting, their minds are wired for strategy, and their technology enhances both. She played one final video, a human rescue team working during a natural disaster. The council watched in amazement as humans dug through rubble for days, barely sleeping or eating, to save strangers. This is their true power, White concluded. The same traits that make them excellent predators, their persistence, their problem-solving, their pack mentality, also make them extraordinary allies. But we must approach them with respect and understanding. They are not like us. Elder Gray stood, his long neck curved in thought. What are your recommendations, Professor? First, we must update all first contact protocols. No species should approach Earth without understanding what humans are. Second, we need to establish clear communication channels. Humans value directness. They respect those who are honest with them. She took a deep breath before delivering her final point. And most importantly, we must never, ever make humans feel threatened. They are remarkably peaceful for predators, but like all apex predators, they become extremely dangerous when they or their allies are in danger. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They had discovered something unprecedented, a predator species that had channeled its hunting instincts into exploration and protection. It was both terrifying and fascinating. As the council began their deliberations, White added one final note to her report. Humans are not the strongest, fastest, or most advanced species we've encountered, but they might be the most dangerous, not because they want to hurt others, but because nothing stops them when they want to protect something. The Martian mining operation was supposed to be a simple joint project between humans and the Galactic Federation. 3 months of peaceful cooperation had proven that different species could work together effectively, but nobody expected the cave-in. Jack, the human site supervisor, was checking equipment readings when the first tremor hit. He looked up to see small rocks falling from the tunnel ceiling. His instincts, honed by years of mining experience, screamed danger. "Everyone out. Now," he shouted, his translator broadcasting in 5 different alien languages. The second tremor was stronger. Before anyone could reach the main tunnel, the ceiling collapsed. Darkness engulfed them as the emergency lights flickered and died. 20 workers, 8 humans, and 12 aliens were trapped 200 meters below the Martian surface. In the pitch-black tunnel, the alien workers froze. Their large eyes, evolved for peaceful daylight gathering, were useless in the complete darkness. Their bodies, designed for flight rather than fight, trembled with terror. But the humans were already moving. "Sound off," Jack called out. "Everyone still breathing. Make some noise." The humans responded immediately, their voices calm and measured. The aliens, hearing this organization in the darkness, managed weak replies. "Mary, get our emergency lights working," Jack ordered. "Pete, start checking the air quality. Lisa, help me find a way around that collapse." The aliens watched in astonishment as the humans moved efficiently in the darkness, using their hands to feel their way around, their other senses compensating for the lack of vision. They worked with a focused intensity that reminded the aliens of hunting behavior. How can you function in this darkness?" asked Blue Wing, one of the alien miners. "Humans evolved as pursuit predators," Mary explained while rewiring a broken light. "We're not great at seeing in the dark, but we can work around it. Our other senses help us adapt." The emergency lights flickered on, revealing their situation. The main tunnel had collapsed, trapping them in a side chamber. The air recyclers were damaged, and their communications were down. "We have about 6 hours of air," Pete reported, checking his instruments. "Maybe less with this many of us breathing it." The alien workers began to panic. Their species were not built for confined spaces or limited resources, but they fell silent when they saw the humans' reactions. Instead of fear, the humans showed intense focus. Jack pulled out a paper map, something the aliens had considered obsolete. "There's an old maintenance shaft behind these walls," he said. "If we can break through, we might reach the surface." What happened next horrified and amazed the alien observers. The humans began working in shifts, hammering at the rock wall with mining tools. When their arms tired, they switched places. When tools broke, they improvised new ones. When thirst hit them, they rationed their water with military precision. "Why don't you rest?" Long Neck, another alien worker, asked after watching humans work for 2 straight hours. "Human bodies are built for persistence," Lisa explained between strikes at the wall. "Our ancestors would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We can keep going for hours when we need to." 4 hours into their ordeal, the humans had created a small hole in the wall. The aliens, inspired by their determination, began helping despite their fear. They discovered that their different biological advantages complemented each other. The aliens' better natural vision helped guide the humans' stronger strikes. 5 hours in, they broke through to the maintenance shaft. As emergency crews arrived from above, the alien workers watched the humans with new understanding. These beings hadn't just survived the crisis. They had thrived in it. The darkness, the confined space, the limited time. Everything that terrified the herbivorous aliens had seemed to sharpen the humans' focus. Later, in his report to the Federation, Blue Wing wrote, "Humans don't just overcome their fear, they use it. When trapped like prey, they think like predators. They don't wait for rescue, they rescue themselves. Most remarkably, they protect others with the same intensity they use to protect themselves. Today, I learned why humans reach the stars. Nothing, not even being buried alive on Mars, can stop them when they decide to survive." The Federation's data breach was an accident. A junior analyst named Soft Reed had simply been reviewing standard files about human emergency response teams when she accessed the wrong database. What she found sent waves of panic through the entire Federation Security Council. Military training documents. Elder Gray stared at the screen in his private chamber, his long ears twitching with anxiety. "Show me everything." The files revealed something the humans called Special Forces training. As the information appeared on his screen, Elder Gray's skin paled to a sickly white. These humans deliberately put themselves through extreme conditions. They trained to go without sleep for days. They learned to eat things that no civilized being would consider food. They practiced moving silently, hiding in plain sight, and surviving in the most hostile environments. "Get me Admiral Starr immediately," Elder Gray ordered his assistant. When the Admiral arrived, his feathered crest was already raised in concern. "Is this about the human military files?" "Look at this." Elder Gray pointed to a video playing on his screen. It showed human soldiers running through something called a combat course. They climbed walls, crawled under wire, and carried heavy weights, all while others fired practice rounds at them. "They trained to operate under fire," Admiral Starr whispered. "None of our species would even consider such a thing. We evolved to run from danger, not toward it." The next file was worse. It detailed something humans called survival training. Soldiers were deliberately placed in harsh environments with minimal supplies. Instead of dying, they thrived. They made tools from nothing, found water in seemingly dry places, and turned local plants and animals into food. "Look at their sleep patterns," Elder Gray pointed to another document. "These special forces can function on only a few hours of sleep. They keep going using something called micro-naps. They can sleep for minutes at a time and still be combat effective." Admiral Starr's feathers ruffled in distress. "That's not normal. Every other species needs proper rest cycles." But the most disturbing discovery was something humans called pain management training. Special Forces soldiers were taught to continue functioning despite injuries that would incapacitate any other being. They could fight with broken bones, run on sprained ankles, and swim with severe wounds. "They're not just predators," Admiral Starr realized. "They're super predators. They've taken their natural hunting abilities and enhanced them through training." A new file popped up on the screen. Psychological warfare training. The aliens read in horror as they learned how humans could use their minds as weapons. They studied their enemies' patterns, exploited weaknesses, and used strategy to defeat stronger opponents. "There's more," Elder Gray said quietly. "Look at their teamwork protocols." The files showed how human military units operated like wolf packs. Each member had a role. They communicated silently, and they could adapt their tactics instantly when plans went wrong. Most terrifying was their concept of leave no one behind. They would risk everything to save a single team member. But here's the strangest part. Elder Gray pointed to the final section. These exceptional warriors, they make up less than 1% of their military forces, and their military forces are just a small part of their total population. Admiral Starr sank into his chair. "You mean there are more humans who could potentially do this?" "Exactly. Any human with enough training could become this deadly. It's built into their biology. But they choose not to. Most of them live peaceful lives, using their predatory instincts only for sports or recreation." The two Federation leaders sat in silence, contemplating the implications. Humans weren't just another spacefaring race. They were apex predators who had turned their hunting instincts into a science, created warriors who could survive anything, and yet somehow managed to build a peaceful civilization. What do we do with this information? Admiral Starr finally asked. Elder Gray closed the files with a trembling hand. We make sure we never give humans a reason to use these capabilities against us, and we thank whatever forces created the universe that they chose to be explorers and diplomats instead of conquerors. He added one final note to the classified file. Human military capability assessment. Do not provoke. Their regular soldiers are dangerous enough. Their special forces are something else entirely. Predators who have turned their bodies and minds into weapons, yet choose to be protectors. The combination of their natural hunting abilities with their advanced training makes them the deadliest potential allies or enemies in known space. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Federation Council wasn't planned, but after the military discovery, every member species demanded answers. The Great Chamber was packed with representatives from across the galaxy, all wanting to understand the implications of having humans in their midst. Dr. Green, now the Federation's leading expert on humans, stood before the massive crowd. His research team had spent months analyzing every piece of data about human biology, history, and behavior. What they found had changed everything. Distinguished council members, he began, his voice steady despite his nervousness. Today we present our final analysis of humanity. What we've discovered will reshape our understanding of galactic civilization. The massive screen behind him lit up with images from Earth's history. We've studied over 5,000 intelligent species across our galaxy. Every single spacefaring race we've encountered evolved from herd animals or peaceful gatherers. Every single one, except humans. The chamber erupted in worried whispers. Elder Gray raised his hand for silence. Humans, Dr. Green continued, are the only predator species to achieve space travel. At first, we thought this was just an interesting anomaly. Now we understand it's much more significant. He displayed a diagram showing human evolutionary traits, forward-facing eyes, endurance-running capabilities, tool use, pattern recognition, and pack hunting behaviors. No other known species combines all these traits. We're not just dealing with a predator species, we're dealing with the ultimate apex predator. The screen showed clips of human activities, children playing sports, soldiers training, scientists working, astronauts in space. Look at how they've maintained their hunting instincts while building a civilization. They turn their predatory focus into scientific discovery. They use their pack hunting tactics in team sports. They channel their pursuit instincts into space exploration. A council member stood up, their crystalline form shimmering with anxiety. But why haven't they conquered their world? With such capabilities. That's the most remarkable part, Dr. Green interrupted. They could have dominated every other species on their planet. Instead, they chose to protect them. These apex predators became conservationists. These hunters became guardians. He showed new images, humans rehabilitating injured animals, protecting endangered species, cleaning polluted environments. They use their predatory intelligence to solve problems. Their hunting stamina becomes medical endurance during long surgeries. Their pack mentality transforms into global cooperation. The next slides showed human space missions, and now they're bringing these traits to the stars. Think about it. Every other spacefaring race reaches for the stars to escape predators or find new resources. Humans go to space because they want to explore, to discover, to understand. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Another council member, their feathered crest fully extended, asked the question everyone feared. Are they a threat to us? Dr. Green paused before answering. Humans are potentially the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. They can outthink, outblast, and outfight any known race. Their bodies are built for hunting, their minds are wired for strategy, and their technology enhances both. He let that sink in before continuing. But they're also the most promising allies we could hope for. They use their predatory traits to protect, not destroy. They turned their hunting instincts into tools for advancement, not weapons for conquest. The final image showed Earth at night, its cities glowing like stars. We've spent generations wondering why we never met aggressive predator species in space. Now we know, because it takes something extraordinary for predators to choose peace over power. Humans are the only ones who made that choice. Elder Gray stood, his ancient form commanding attention. "What is your recommendation, Doctor?" "Accept them as full members of the Federation," Green replied without hesitation. "But never forget what they are. Treat them with respect, not fear. They're predators who chose to be peaceful, but they never lost their ability to hunt. The same instincts that make them dangerous make them invaluable allies." As the Council began their deliberations, Dr. Green added one final note to his report. "In all our years of space exploration, we never found predators among the stars because we were looking for the wrong things. We were looking for monsters, but instead we found guardians. Humans are what happen when apex predators choose to protect rather than dominate. And that makes them unique in all the known galaxy." Ambassador Blue stood before the newly installed warning beacon at the edge of human space. The device would broadcast a simple but crucial message to all approaching alien vessels. "Warning: Apex Predator Species Zone. Federation Protocol 74A in effect." He remembered his first meeting with humans aboard their space station, just 6 months ago. How naive he had been then, expecting to find another peaceful grazing species. Now he was responsible for writing the new first contact protocols for humanity. The Federation Council had spent weeks debating how to proceed. Some wanted to isolate humans until they became more civilized. Others suggested carefully controlling human expansion into space. But in the end, wisdom prevailed. "The new protocol is ready for review, Ambassador," his assistant said, handling him a datapad. Blue looked at the document that would change how the galaxy approached Earth. It read, "Federation First Contact Protocol 74A. Human Interaction Guide Linnaeus. 1. Basic Classification. Species: Human, Homo sapiens. Category: Apex Predator / Persistence Hunter. Threat Level: Extreme if provoked. Recommended Approach: Respectful equals. 2. Important Notes: Humans are not aggressive by default. They value honesty and direct communication. They exhibit strong protective instincts. They form deep bonds with allies. They remember both friends and enemies. 3. Critical Warnings: Never threaten their young. Never abandon their injured. Never betray their trust. Never harm those under their protection. Never underestimate their capabilities." Blue added his final personal observation to the document. "Humans are not like us. They see the galaxy through predators' eyes, always alert, always ready. But they've chosen to use their hunting instincts for exploration and protection. They're the only known species that had the strength to conquer their world, but chose to protect it instead." As he worked, a human ship appeared on his sensors. It was Captain Tom's vessel, arriving for the joint ceremony to establish the first permanent Human Federation embassy. "Ambassador Blue," Tom's voice came through clear and friendly. "Good to see you again." Blue watched the human ship approach, remembering everything he had learned about these remarkable predators. How they could track multiple threats at once, how they could push through pain, how they could survive almost anywhere. But most importantly, how they chose to use these abilities. "The beacon is ready," Blue reported. "Though some of us still wonder if it's necessary to warn others about humans so dramatically." Tom's laugh came through the communication system. "Better to know what we are from the start, isn't it? No surprises that way." Blue agreed. The galaxy needed to understand humans properly, not to fear them, but to respect them. The new protocol would make sure of that. The ceremony itself was brief but meaningful. Humans and aliens stood together, predator and prey species united in peace. Blue gave a short speech about cooperation and understanding. But it was Tom's words that really captured the moment. "Yes, we are predators," Tom said to the gathered crowd. "We have the instincts of hunters, the patience of stalkers, and the determination of pursuit predators. But we chose to be more than our instincts. We chose to protect rather than hunt, to explore rather than conquer, to lift up rather than dominate." As Blue watched the humans interact with other species after the ceremony, he made one final addition to the protocol. "Remember, humans are not just apex predators who reached the stars. They are apex predators who chose to be guardians. Treat them with the respect this choice deserves. They could have been the galaxy's greatest nightmare. Instead, they've chosen to be its most dedicated protectors." The warning beacon began its endless broadcast, its message clear to all who approach Earth space. Here lived a species that combined the instincts of a predator with the wisdom to choose peace, the strength to conquer with the choice to protect. Here lived humanity, the galaxy's first and only predator guardians.